It's time to meet Serena, your AI mental health counselor. Available now for a free trial.
30F, 35M. Christmas hell. I used sensitive info in a fight with husband. Please excuse me if this post is long-winded. I've never posted before and I'm genuinely looking for some insight. I'm perfectly fine with being at fault and I am trying to find an acceptable solution to the problem. For reference, we have been married since 2020 and dating since 2014. I, 30F, recently got into a huge argument with my husband, 35M, on Christmas. We have not spoke to each other since. This is the longest fight we have had and I don't see it going back to normal anytime soon. The weekend of Christmas my husband and I changed our holiday plans due to him having mild cold symptoms. Even though it was not COVID, we decided to not expose his elderly grandma and decided to stay in. It was an easy decision as we had hosted a Christmas party with his family the weekend prior. After discussing, we agreed to have my parents and 2 brothers come over Christmas morning. However, leading up to Christmas he was upstairs in his gaming room for 12+ hours Friday, Saturday and Sunday. I could hear him laughing, screaming, and interacting with his friends all weekend long. When I would ask him to come downstairs for lunch or to spend some time watching a movie, he would become aggravated and annoyed like I was inconveniencing him. He would say he wasn't feeling well for it. This is something that happens very often outside of this weekend. For Christmas he refused to be a part of any pictures or unwrapping as he says he wasn't feeling well. When my family had finally left and he had gone upstairs to play again, I realized that my family did not close the door properly on their way out and it was open the front of our home facing the street. I begin to panic because we have a small dog who is my world and after calling him multiple times and searching, I couldn't find him. As I continue searching, I start shouting to my husband that there is an emergency and I can't find our dog. I needed his help. He just shouts back, "I'm busy, just keep looking. Have you checked in XYZ location?" I'm running down the street and looking through rooms in a panic. All the while my husband has not disconnecting from video games. About 10 minutes later I am able to find our dog and he is safe. Turns out he had accidentally wandered into our laundry room and couldn't get out. This is when my husband comes downstairs and says, "See, I told you he was fine." Well, I was just in a fit of rage and panic and I tell him that I'm so tired of being number 2 in his life. All his free time he is playing, we hardly go to bed together anymore or spend our free time together. This is impacting our relationship in many ways. I explain that I never knew this hobby of his would put our relationship in his number 2 priority. He then rebuts by saying that he didn't know before marrying that my decorating and preparing for Christmas would be such a priority. I felt so incredibly hurt from this, as the reason I do this is to create memories and our own traditions as a couple. This was the 3rd time he'd thrown buying a new Christmas tree in my face during arguments even though it was his idea to buy one from Costco this year. I was hurt that all my efforts were seen as a waste. In anger, I tell him not to worry and that this would be the last year I would ever decorate or try to make an effort for the holidays. I begin to angrily take down all of the decorations in the house and packed everything away. I tell my husband that I never wanted him to throw the tree purchase in my face again and I packed it away to return to Costco. I know this is tacky but I was sick of him throwing it in my face. Also, the tree had a recall as the remote for it stopped working and it was eligible for a return. As I'm trying to lug this 100-pound 12 female tree box into my car, my husband and I begin to tug the box back and forth between the two of us. He began saying, "If you return this tree I'm packing my things and I'm leaving." This threw me off guard as he'd never said anything like this to me before. I leave the tree in the doorway and begin packing other Christmas items around the house. Meanwhile, I can hear him pulling out a suitcase and begin packing. I felt so angry and distraught but I didn't say anything to him as he's doing so. He puts his items in his truck and then comes to sit in our home. After 30 minutes I guess he decided to not leave after all, so then he goes upstairs to continue playing video games. The very reason the argument started in the first place. After a couple of hours of him playing, out of petty anger I used the Wi-Fi app to restart our internet to mess with his gaming. I know this was petty and stupid. I regret doing it. This upsets my husband so much and he was so angry I did that, and when he confronted me about it I just froze and said it wasn't me. I am a horrible liar and he knew right away. He was so angry that he decided to leave. He got in his truck, with his items, turned off his location and drove away. I called him 4 times and on the last he picked up. I asked him where he was and he claims he was going to spend the night at his work parking garage. We begin to argue on the phone and long story short the last thing I said to him was, "I always thought you were like your dad but it turns out you're just like your mother." He had recently opened up to me with more details about his childhood and his absent mother who left them when he was about 14. I knew as soon as I said it that this would cut him deeply. I regret saying it and I feel horrible for even thinking it. He refuses to speak to me and the last thing he said is he feels like he never wants to open up to me again. I don't know what to do or how to proceed from here. Any advice or insight would be appreciated. If you made it this far, thank you so much. I'm sorry for any typos or grammatical errors. I'm typing while very crying and upset. Too long did not read. Husband and I get into a fight about him spending too much time playing video games. Results in him packing his things and leaving. I compare his actions to that of his absent mother. We have not talked in a week. You've got 2 choices from here. Marriage counseling that both of you are 100% dedicated to, or get divorce lawyers. He needs to learn that locking himself away 24/7 to play games is not a realistic contribution to a healthy marriage and you need to learn how to communicate without an acid tongue. You're still really young and you both need to decide if putting in the work is worth it. There's no shame in going your separate ways. I wish you both the best of luck in your journeys. I'm not sure why you would even want to salvage this relationship. 41M, 40F, my, 41M, wife, 40F, had an abortion after trying to get pregnant. We have tried to get pregnant for more than a year, which is not that easy at our age. We took advice from the GP on how to achieve it, and I've had my semen examined. In the end it just worked out naturally. Because it was last month that she found out she's pregnant. Of course, my first reaction was disbelief, joy and also nerves, afraid for what is to come. Her reaction, however, was panic, sadness and depression. She talked to me, saying she had just before that decided to not want to get pregnant anymore, because she had some issues with me, with our relationship. She needed more space for herself. I listened to her concerns, including concerns about me, how sometimes I can act a little impatient when something doesn't work, like on the computer. This issue is, in my opinion, a small one, but I agreed to work on it. We agreed to live separate for about 2 weeks, separate, under the same roof though. It worked quite well. In the meanwhile I tried to work on myself. Self-improvement is of course something very hard, and although I feel I actually made some major progress, I'm also aware this can be an illusion. Like an alcoholic who keeps saying he's got it under control now. On the other hand though, my issue isn't as serious as an alcoholic. But well, we met again with the GP after this period of distance. There she announced she wanted to have an abortion. It was a shock to me, and also to the GP. The GP, also a lady by the way, told us, she might make a rash decision, so it's better to postpone it. While it was postponed, I felt really bad about the whole situation. I was really angry and sad. But somewhere deep inside me I just knew she was not going to have the abortion, that she would reconsider. The next week at the GP she was still adamant about having the abortion. I went with her to the abortion clinic. I had promised her, and myself, that I was going to support her no matter her decision. Still, it was really difficult, I struggled, I couldn't support her, even if I wanted to. She saw my concerns and on the very last moment decided to postpone it once more. The coming 2 weeks were to be a test of our relationship, whether I had improved, or whatever that may mean. The next 2 weeks went perfect, and I didn't even have to try. I had simply made mental progress, was a step further in my life, in many ways. She also noticed this, and was pleased. She still went on with the abortion. In the last discussion we had about it, I told her that at least this time she is making a 100% rational decision, not under influence of hormones, or panic, or whatnot. I wish I could accept it, but I can't. I've also been writing in my private journal, summing up a few things, concluding there doesn't seem to be much left for us. She never shows interest in my creative activities, our sex is below mediocre, and now we do not share a vision for us as a family. Despite the fact that she is a fantastic woman, she really is. I feel I've reached the point that I need to break up with her. But before doing so, I just had to get this off my chest, and I wonder if any comments might shed a different light on the situation. Ps. Throwaway account. If you want kids and she doesn't, you're fundamentally incompatible and need to divorce. You need to end this relationship and it's completely understandable. Sorry. Confused face. I listened to her concerns, including concerns about me, how sometimes I can act a little impatient when something doesn't work, like on the computer. And what exactly does that mean? I'm sorry for your loss. I think it's best to leave her and take some time to grieve. What she did maybe was best for her but not best for you. But at least you know where you stand. I really don't think you are telling us the entire story. Sounds like there are missing reasons going on here. 21 female, 27 male. My boyfriend didn't want to drive me to the hospital. I hope I'm doing this right. I only saw this on Instagram. I've been dating my boyfriend for a year and a half and I am really in love with him. We were long distance for some time but we now live together. I have had a bit of a traumatic experience with hospitals in the past so I'm terrified of them, which my boyfriend knows. I got really sick recently and I was in a huge pain for a few days until I realized something was really wrong. My boyfriend didn't want to drive me to the hospital. I asked him and he didn't want to, he did not even had an excuse, he just didn't want to. Al thought he is not a big fan of driving. I've been living here almost 4 months, I don't know many people yet. And I was crying and scared. I ended up calling the girlfriend of one of his friends. She is always super kind to me and she took me. I got really lucky since she helped me with everything there and there also was a really nice Korean nurse so I was able to explain and understand everything better. I honestly feel super embarrassed over the whole thing. I'm still at the hospital and he hasn't visited. Al thought he did text a few times. He says it wasn't a big deal because I'm fine now. He will go to a New Year's party tomorrow so he won't visit either and that makes me so sad but I also feel like I'm being dramatic and he does have a right to have fun. So far our relationship has been great and I really am in love with him. I truly feel like he is the one but I also feel so hurt over this. We only ever had one problem that got fixed. We are always okay so I'm not used to this but it has me so sad. He doesn't seem to care so I'm a bit confused if this is a big deal like I feel it is or not. What am I supposed to do? Is it really a big deal like I feel it is? TLDR I got sick. My boyfriend didn't want to drive me to the hospital and he hasn't visited. Edit. Please stop private messaging me telling me that I'm stupid, I know. There's a few comments Reddit won't let me see. Sorry if I don't reply. You are supposed to dump him immediately. This is how he acts when you need medical care. This is how he acts when you need real help. Do not stay with someone like this, he'll leave you to suffer or worse. He already did. Girl, get the fuck away from this guy. Your life might depend on it. He's useless when it counts. You stayed overnight in the hospital? Are you okay? What are you admitted for? Just because you love someone, doesn't mean they will love you back. It's clear he doesn't love you if he was fine to leave you to suffer in pain. My heart broke for you when I read that he refused to take you to a hospital when asked. I've dated guys who cared more for my well-being after 2 dates than your boyfriend cares about yours after being together 1.5 years. You are not overreacting. Your instincts are correct. He does not care for you. For your own safety and future happiness, please leave. 22 male, 22 female. My boyfriend likes me better with makeup. I feel awful. I'm an okay-looking girl but I've been told I look like a bombshell with my hair and makeup done. Without it, I am just okay. Not pretty. We went out last night and I dressed up for the first time in a while. He was fawning over me the whole time, staring at me, kissing me. When we got home he was telling me that he's so lucky he's with me, I'm out of his league and he can't believe we're together and he's with the prettiest girl in the room. It made me feel so good. We had sex and he was so into it and had fun. I don't know. He doesn't act like that normally. It made me feel like a princess but it also made me sad that he's not always complimenting me like that. Am I being crazy? Wait, did he tell you you only look okay without makeup or someone else? Because if he's not the one that said it, I don't think it's fair to assign motivation to one night where you got dressed up, went out, had a good time, and he paid attention to you. If the night out is an unusual or special thing then it's definitely very normal for there to be added attention. If you want him to be more reassuring about your normal appearance because you're nervous over things others have said, then tell him that. But if he's the one who told you you're a bombshell with makeup and only alright without it then that's a crap partner who's making you feel bad and should be dealt with accordingly. I don't get it. You dressed up fancy and he showed you extra attention. Isn't that the goal of dressing up?